Okay, everybody, it is me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Sunday, June 16, 2022. I apologize for getting this video out so late. Crazy morning. All right, but with that said, I suppose better late than never. So yes, this is my newest segment of Markets A Look Ahead. People, before we look ahead, I want to look back just a little bit, put things into perspective so we maybe can gauge what is most likely to happen here moving forward. As we all know, and it's everywhere right now, we have an emergency monetary policy stance out of the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve, who is now resorting to what they are calling, their own words, unconventional monetary policy to stabilize the debt market. The European Central Bank has used the word to prevent a defragmentation. They can't say meltdown. So they got to find a way to twist these words in a way that people don't understand. It should be clear to you, and it's clear to me, that a defragmentation means a breaking up of something, a meltdown. Now, the efforts that are going on right now between these two central banks are literally unprecedented. This is quantitative easing on steroids. It is massively, massively inflationary. On the back of that, you got the Federal Reserve involved with this reverse repo program, overnight trillions of dollars. What they're doing literally is passing cash from one entity to another entity overnight, and this is providing what is literally an artificial liquidity to the market. Understand, and they make no mistake about this, the markets are illiquid, all right, meaning there's not enough cash to go around here. And this movement back and forth of trillions of dollars overnight between institutions, with this repo program that's going on here, is also in itself massively inflationary. It's tricking the system into thinking there's more liquidity. I think you understand that, okay? At least I hope so. I've been covering this at length. So what we had here, okay, let's back up even further, was a debt market that started to melt down, getting that uncontrolled spike in the 10-year yield. We had a 50 basis point move higher in the 10-year yield in a matter of just a few trading days. It's unprecedented. Henceforth, why? Emergency monetary policy out of the ECB and the Fed with their unconventional methods. They know what's going on here. You and I, right here on this blog, discussed that the central banks from years ago would eventually have to take some kind of an action like this to stabilize the debt market or prevent a fragmentation. And I also said what would happen is central banks would step in here and attempt to prevent that from happening using the exact methodology or methods that they're doing now. Okay, and this is a Band-Aid. Okay, it's a Band-Aid on a monumental Frankenstein problem. It's working. Okay, this is stock market here. Since these central banks have managed to suppress rates, and this is again going on in Europe, around the world, we were seeing rates spike around the world. Now they're coming down via these actions. And what is this doing? What you and I knew it would do. I spoke about it right here on this blog, and I sent this out in my free newsletter. Again, link in the description of this video. It's now forcing cash back into the stock market. Makes sense to you, right? So we're seeing the stock market make some pretty substantial moves higher lately. Now, understanding that we have a monster that is a hyper bubble in the debt market. And what are they trying to do to fix it? They're fueling it with more debt, okay? Giving this false appearance of more liquidity, okay? All they're doing now is creating a larger problem. They're exacerbating the underlying issue by adding more fuel to the fire. And I have said this, it's like trying to save a drowning person by throwing more water on them. Okay, it can't work for now. it's clearly working. We have this mechanism. Rates have come down. 10-year yield dropped, although it's creeping up. It's creeping up, and I know you're keeping your eyes on this, every one of you who understands what's happening here in the debt market, being that the debt market is the driver. The debt market is the largest aspect of global markets by exponents. And the manipulation clearly that continues to go on in the debt market causes price action distortions that are simply beyond belief. There is no price discovery mechanism that is going on today. Not a single asset class has a real price discovery mechanism on the back of what is going on in the debt market, because everything derives value from what is occurring in the debt market. And the stock market, as you all know, if you follow this blog, is a derivative. It can be considered a derivative of what is happening in the debt market. Period. The end. So, understanding the situation here, and if this is a little confusing, I can understand that. There's no reason why you can't sit back, at least maybe stop the video right here if you don't understand what I've covered, and start over. Let this sink in. Understand what's happening. In order to take action against anything, you must understand where the enemy lies, where the root cause of the problem is. And this is central banks who are manipulating the global financial system. And unlike anything we've ever seen here, we understand, all of us, that since the last meltdown here in the stock market, 2008, central banks have gotten in here and bought it all. QE1, QE2, Operation Twist, on and on and on. It just doesn't stop. And you know better than anybody, if you follow this blog, central banks have no magical power. They have to get into the market and make it happen. And they're manipulating the debt market on a scale that is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this before. On the back of this, people, we have this new world order economic model. Crisis to crisis to crisis. And every one of these things gives the puppet governments a blank check to do anything they want to, and you must back it. You have to, otherwise you're not a patriot. You don't care about people. It's an unbelievable scheme. All it is doing is giving central banks the ability to continue to inflate. As we all know, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet in just under a month has gone up. The balance sheet that we're allowed to see, okay, there's two balance sheets here. The one we're allowed to see has gained 20 billion. And the Fed has said, oh, we're cutting back on asset purchases. We're going to stop doing it. It's fake. You knew this from the get-go because we discussed it here. So on the back of what we are seeing here, people, it's unprecedented. We're seeing this move here higher in the stock market. And I believe that we need to keep a much closer eye on the 10-year yield and the whole yield curve, obviously, but more specifically the 10-year yield more than anything else. Because you understand what happened. That spiking caused this unprecedented action by the ECB and the Fed. Okay, they will do more. Okay, we understand that. The European Central Bank has already said they would. They would do more, and the Fed will follow suit, as we know. But all they're doing is exacerbating the problem. The underlying problem is a hyperbubble in debt. And they're using the debt market. They've weaponized the system. They've managed to weaponize the debt market to create an environment of risk. Yet again, the market's trying to correct itself, was trying to. We say we had this spiking in the 10-year yield. Markets start to take a bigger hit. You understand? And now we have this stabilization here. Cash is making its way back in. We're going to keep our eyes on that 10-year yield, people. That's the key. The debt market remains the key to everything. And of course, follow this blog. I will keep you on top of it. This environment has made it exceedingly difficult, not just for myself here to get a handle on the market overall. But again, I urge you to do this. Go look at every single investment fund by pick one of them, major investment banks. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. Let's look at JP Morgan. Look at their funds. They're all suffering here. So don't feel bad if you're getting caught in this kind of a situation as well, because everybody is hurting right now, and you can see what's going on. They're trying to push that cash back into the stock market. I'm still sitting back here. I fully intend to re-engage myself with regard to the stock market, with regard to cryptocurrencies. Believe me, I am still a massive advocate of these things. Gold and silver, you absolutely know that. I own a commodities ETF right now. I'm keeping my eyes on that. I have a stop loss at 10%. Okay, we got a little close the other day. If I do see my commodity ETF, PDBC, continue to drop, or if it drops more than 10%, it will automatically trigger a sell. That's how I have it set up here. I already put this out in my newsletter. People, we need to be more diligent than we ever have before. The rigging in this market has clearly hit a level that is beyond, and I mean freaking beyond belief. So let's keep our eyes on the ball. Let's not lose track of understanding what the root cause of this problem is. It's central banks who continue to run the financial system and the world into the ground here. They've hyperinflated this bubble in debt. When it bursts, and it will, this is just a band-aid, it's going to change the financial landscape of the entire world. Absolutely, this has the potential to create chaos around the world, financial systems locking up. They're already desperate to prevent a liquidity lockup, or what's also known as a credit freeze, where the entire system stops functioning. Okay, you need to have some cash around. That's the truth. In the event of a lockup of the system, okay, you need to have some cash available, because your ATM cards won't work. Your credit cards won't work. Everything is going to stop. I also believe you need to think about this from a little bit of a prepper perspective, okay? You need to have non-perishables put away. They are driving the world into a food shortage. They want to create a bigger crisis, a larger outcry. What better way to do this than to starve people? I really believe this is what they're leading to. We already have an energy crisis, which is going to get a lot worse here. Shortages are manifesting themselves. So just be ready for anything, people. Always have the high ground. You understand? Always have it. And if that means you need to step back for a moment from the entire picture and take it all in, okay, then that's what you need to do. Right now, it's extremely confusing, and it's being done this way by design. Understand, you're not being told the truth via any of the mainstream propaganda ministries. I am trying my hardest. I am trying my best to put out material that I think is seriously important so you can understand what's happening. All right. I am going to urge you to take this video blog, this particular video. If you think I'm doing a good job, please hit that thumbs up. Do people need to hear what I have just covered, or you think this is just nonsense? If it's nonsense, put a thumbs down here, okay? But I would appreciate a thumbs up if you think this is valuable information. I would also appreciate you getting this out there as far and wide as you possibly can. Share this video blog on all of your social networks. People, we are responsible for each other. We really are. They are trying to divide us and keep us in a state of hatred. Okay, this whole thing with Roe v. Wade is just a part of it here. Keeping people divided, the divide and conquer mechanism. They can't allow us to come together. They can't allow us to see what's really going on because they need their agenda to be fulfilled. If we understand what their agenda is here, okay, and that is a completely new system, a whole new paradigm, a whole new set of rules, and a control mechanism on a scale that is going to be biblical, okay? If we understand what they're doing here, we now have a one world government, people. This is the central banks. Everything else is a puppet show, and that's all it is. These central banks are determined to wipe out an entire class of people, institute a new feudal system here. I hope you're understanding what I am saying, people. Let me hear from you, please. I'm freaking begging you. I want to hear from you. Does this make sense to you, what I am saying? Are you seeing what's going on, or am I completely off base? I want to hear from you. I will read the comments. I promise you, okay? With that said, I will see all of you in the morning. I think this has been an exceedingly important video. We need each other, people. We need each other. I'll see you all in the morning. Ponder these things. I'm out of here.